Monday. Oh my God, I look so
Happy
crazy. Happy Monday. It is November 17th, 2025. Welcome to TMW Online. I'm Linda. That's Abby over there. We are covering all things 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 7, Episode 8. Forsa! Forsa! ¿Cómo estás? ¿Estás bien? Salud, all the things, all the languages. What language you want to add to it, Abby?
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, well, she can add English. You can add English. How are you?
I'm holding it down for the English speakers.
We're catching up. You know that. Oh, I look crazy, Abby. I do, but
no, you don't.
I have to protect the eyelashes. We are covering all things episode 8. I know we're catching up. I know a lot of you guys are further ahead than we are, but listen, nothing covers our commentary.
Nothing beats it. So stay tuned.
And shout out to the people that I don't even know when you're watching, but you're sending messages like, hey, we love your commentary. One girl said that my microphone, she wanted to love us, Abby, but my microphone was irritating her. But I was like, I don't have a microphone, so I don't know what's going on, but I'll check it out. So we love you guys. We love you guys. That's it.
Yeah, if you hear an audio noise, try and be as descriptive as possible so we can figure out, like if you have a timestamp maybe, so we can figure out exactly what it is, because we want you to love us.
Right, because we love you guys. Overall thoughts of episode 8.
Okay, now I can finally get back to how I want to hate Matthew. Okay, I'm ready.
Was Matthew in this episode? We're in episode 8. Oh yeah, okay, Greta and Matthew, yeah. Okay. Your thoughts?
Hate maybe is too strong of a word, but the way that he is consistently disregarding everything that Greta says when Greta is already a person who's not even asking for that much is really driving me crazy.
Yeah, my overall thoughts is there's a lot of red flags with all these relationships, and I'm wondering why we are not addressing them. Shout out Connie. Hey girl, hey. Let's start with Manon and Anthony.
Yes.
It's all about bread.
And I love this bready opening because they're finally in France. But I do have a serious question about what's happening with them in this episode. Because she said that it's very important to her to get Benjamin baptized because her family are Catholics and it's part of their tradition. Anthony says, he doesn't really agree with it. What was interesting to me, like I've seen marriages where religions mix, or one person's not religious and one person is. But what was interesting to me was her phrasing that the baptism is important to her for family tradition, not because of building a relationship with God or, with the church, but just because of family tradition. Did that stick out to you at all?
It did. Well, okay. So as you guys know, I am a firm believer, 100% Christian, 100% in faith. And so this was a hard thing to watch for me because there was a lot of things that I continue to tell you guys that you have to have that conversation before you're in a serious relationship or you get married to someone, because as you have kids and as you raise your kids and as you raise your life, those things should be in line. So some of the things that he said, he's doing it just to basically please his wife. That's not going to be sustainable for the long term as you raise your child, because she's now baptized the child in the Christian Catholic faith and is obviously going to want to raise that kid in that way. But anyways, so he said, as long as we're not practicing all these things, and I'll get into it a little bit later in the episode, but you clearly didn't have the conversation and you clearly are not on the same page. And that's worrisome to me. So it's problematic for sure, Abby.
It is problematic. And I can't even analyze it as one person is religious and one person is not. because Manon is not giving me religious. Manon is giving me, I go through certain motions in my life because I was raised that way. It's not anything to do with my actual belief or what I think is right or wrong. It's just part of how I was raised. And she said she equates this. This is something that's important to me, right? She says this is something that's important to me. Just like we did things with your family when you were in America. Like she's equating religion to families getting together for holidays. And I'm that's a little bit difficult for me to really like analyze, because I would analyze the relationship as some person being in a faith and another out of the faith, or two different faiths. But she's not giving me I'm in a faith. She's giving me these are just the motions that I go through.
Yeah, it's hard to decipher, and I hope that we get to unpack it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, I think that, again, before you are in a serious relationship, a marriage, or whatever, and you bring kids into this world, you have to have those conversations. If you don't have the conversations, then this is where we land, right? So, one of the things that you guys, this past year, I've been going through like a whole health transformation. And so when it opened up with bread, it's like bread everywhere. 4 chocolate croissants, 4 mini donuts. I was like, oh, that looks so delicious. If you ever in the Euros, you guys know that they don't have like all the extra additives that America has. So you can eat all the breads and you literally don't gain the weight and feel like disgusting. But that being said, I was like, oh my God, I haven't had like carbs like that in a very long time.
So you're just like drooling at the French bakery.
Drooling. So chez Chouche and chez Tu and merci, bonjour, all French. And so hearing Anthony talk about how he's been practicing French since they got married, I was super surprised because his French is terrible. His French is terrible. That's all I can say.
I couldn't understand if he was serious or if he was just, because he seemed like sometimes he's clearly like making jokes and pulling her leg. So the times when he's mispronouncing things or not doing well, I'm like, is this an extension of his jokes, or is his French really this bad?
And that's the part I couldn't get. So, merci, merci, bonjourné is like, thank you, see you next time, right? You can say merci, thank you. Bonjour is also thank you, but the more formal. So like it was like messing with my French, and I was like, oh, he's not taking this seriously at all. Like at all. They end up at the park. We find out that Benjamin is getting baptized over the weekend, and Manon has invited the entire family, and she's surprised that everyone has accepted her invitation. So everyone is coming. And one of the things she talks about is making amends with her family and initiating healing. And I wanted to know, Abby, what are your thoughts on broken family relationships and being the first to reach out?
I don't think there's anything wrong with being the first to reach out, especially this situation. She's been away for a long time. So as a way of announcing that I'm back to try and mend some relationships. But I don't think that an event where I can't actually talk to you is going to be the appropriate event, because she's the hostess for this event. She can't take somebody to the side and have like a long, significant conversation. So the location wouldn't be right for me, but I do think it's fine for her to be the first one to reach out. Also, I think for her to be the first one to reach out gives her the upper hand. I want to introduce you to the new Manon. I'm not the person that I was when I left here, and I want you to be reintroduced to me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. One of the things that was concerning to me, okay, so the baptism is uncomfortable for Anthony because he's a non-believer. And I thought this would be a great conversation between you and I, because as you guys know, I'm a firm believer, Christian faith, grew up with it and still in it. But I know that Abby, you grew up with Christianity and you have some different beliefs now.
Yeah.
So the baptism for Anthony is uncomfortable. He's a non-believer. He's against it. He's actually against having his son Benjamin baptized, but he's going to go with it in order to make Manan happy. But he wants to also, quote, not want to be practicing Christian Catholics. What are your thoughts on that? Because you guys, one of the questions I tell you guys about faith, I talk to you about money, sex, religion, faith are intertwined. But I can't imagine being married to someone who is like, yeah, we can do this baptism, but I don't believe in it. I'm not a believer. I'm actually against it, but I'm only doing it to make you happy. That to me sounds like red flags. So I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, it would absolutely be a reasonable red flag to you. But I don't think that Manon really is treating religion as something separate than just events that her family attends. I don't think that her concept of it is a spiritual, individual relationship with a deity of any kind, because she thinks it's equal to things that she's done with Anthony's family, like just regular events that they've attended.
So if I can be clear and just reiterate what you're saying that you don't think that she's doing it because she's a believer. She's doing it because she's used to the tradition of what she's done back in France, and she's only doing it to pacify her family.
Yes, that's what it gave off to me, because her response to Anthony wasn't, these beliefs are really important to me and I want him to grow up knowing the Lord. I want him to grow up having his own relationship with God. I want to teach him the morals from church. I want to teach him the scripture and the values. She doesn't say none of that. She says, but it's tradition for my family.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, that's
so the way that you're categorizing it is the way that I'm more familiar with it. It would be that imbalance in a relationship is what I would be more familiar with. For her, I don't think that religion really means that much.
That's interesting, because I don't even know how do you even get there, because how do you practice something that you don't really believe just because you think it's tradition? Like, oh, so for Americans, I think it's next week, Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
I had Thanksgiving for Canada in October. So American Thanksgiving, I always get confused, but I believe it's like the 27th. And is it the 27th?
I think it's the 25th.
Oh.
No, 25th is no, you're right, the 27th, because 25th I am in court.
It's sometime next week. So she's equating baptizing your child in faith, in the Christian Catholic faith, to it just being like some type of tradition that you do every year, like it's Thanksgiving. Is that what
that's the way that she talked about it? That's the way that it came off to me. I am welcome to other interpretations, but back when I was religious, I would have described getting my child baptized, or what's the other, Christianed. I would have said I'm dedicating my baby to God. Like that's the way that I grew up. This is what this means. And I'm putting you on the path to having your own individual relationship with Christ. None of that is what Manon said. And so because she doesn't describe it in those terms, I think that she's less concerned with the fact that Anthony doesn't have the same beliefs and is actually against them.
What's the difference to you, Abby, between growing up in the church and actually being in faith? So, because you talk a lot about religion, like you said, religion a lot. And so I guess my curiosity is, and I hear this a lot about people, like they don't like formal religion, But is that different to you in your mind, Abby, than having faith and believing?
Well, yeah. I grew up with around people who went to church as a activity, as opposed to, so their families, on Sundays we get dressed, we go to church as an activity, right? And that was it. There's no discussion concerning what the sermon was or what Sunday school was outside of that one weekly activity, right? I grew up in a home where we were made to pray together. If something happened at home as a form of discipline, you need to read these Bible verses and correct your behavior. Um, what did you learn at church today? On Wednesdays, we had this group called Red Circle that was just for girls. What did you guys talk about in Red Circle today? And how are you going to apply that to your life? Like, I grew up in a way that my religion was supposed to guide my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what Manon is describing to me.
Mm. Okay, that's fair. Thank you for sharing, because that's fair. Because I was very curious. Where are we? Okay, so we're practicing. Manon feels like she's the black sheep of the family, and especially in the church. And they are baptizing Benjamin, and we see Dumasson, who is the father pastor of the church, saying, "May the Lord be with you," and baptizing Benjamin. And Marie, who is her sister, for me, it was the first time seeing her. Manan explains that it's a complicated relationship that they have because of the distance, because of everything that Manon has experienced before she moved back to France. But she thought that making her sister the godmother would be a great way to reconnect to her sister. And what she's done is she's not only like, hey, I'm going to reach out to my sister who I haven't talked to in many years. Hey, you're going to be the godmother. But she's reached out to extended family members who she hasn't talked to in 10 plus years. But they've all said, hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm proud that you can get everyone together and we're going to all show up. I thought that was all very weird because as a person of Christian faith, as a person who, I don't have children, but if I had children, I wouldn't randomly just choose a godparent just because they were my sister or related to me. I would want them to have had some type of interaction with my child prior to that, so that I know that they would be a leader if anything happened to me, to continue my belief in the Christian faith. So
Exactly. That's
yeah.
it. And that's another reason why I just don't think it's as serious to her, the religion piece of it. It's just a thing to do, just an activity, because that's also what I think godparents are for. They're supposed to step in when I'm not available to continue guiding you on that Christian path.
And not just on the Christian path, but on the Christian path that you believe, right? That's why you have the godparents, is because there's a lot of facets of Christianity, and we don't have enough time, but like they're Catholic Christians, which is different than like Baptist Christians, which is different than what did I ask my mom the other day? Um uh, it begins with a P. Anyways, I asked her about this church. She's like, "Oh, Pentecost." She's like, "I'm not a Pentecost," right? So there's all different facets. So to ask someone to stand up for you in your place, you would think that they believe the same things you do, which was what was weird to me, because if you haven't talked to your sister in 10 years, how do you know what she really does believe? But whatever. Right. Okay. Marry your sister. Complicated relationship because of the distance. She's still the godmother. And then Manon makes a speech later on after the baptism at the dinner. And what I thought was interesting about the speech is that she's had a few drinks. She haven't seen most of these people in over 10 years, but she, quote, is proud she was able to bring everyone together because of Benjamin. And I thought, well, everyone's going to be on their best behavior, but they don't necessarily believe all the things that you believe. And sometimes, especially when you're someone that has left your hometown, sometimes people just want to see how you're doing. They want to see how you look. They want to see what you've accomplished. They want to see who you're married to, if you have children, all the things. So they're not necessarily coming because they're supporting, this baptism. They're supporting all the things that you think you've moved forward in. They're coming to be watchers. Some of them are coming to be haters. And I just thought it was like kind of terrible that she didn't acknowledge that. Abby, thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of them are just being nosy and being petty.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's optimistic and has a great positive outlook about it, but I mean, we don't know if they're just there to continue to tear you down, but she's got a positive outlook about it, so hopefully it does come out that way. But that was another thing, the drinking right after the church service.
Yeah. So, and that's my note. So Manon's drinking. She's having a good time. She's getting like bombarded by a lot of questions from her family, quote unquote. One family member asked, "Are you getting a house?" And Manon says, "Oui, ça va," which means her mom does actually, excuse me, "Oui, ça va," which is what her mom says. Her mom answers the question to, "Are you getting a house?" And "Oui, ça va" means, "Are you okay?" And Manon says, like, "Yeah, I'm okay." But because she was drinking so much, I don't think she really heard the original question. And Laurent, her dad, says, "Are you tired?" Because, now she's coming across as tipsy.
Mm-hmm.
The mom answers, "Yes, maybe it's the alcohol," Sabrina says. And Manon's like, "No, I'm not tipsy. I'm not drunk. I'm just looking for balance. I'm looking for it to be a different situation than it was when I was here 10 years ago." Um, and the dad, this is the first thing that I was like, okay, well, maybe the dad is on her side, because the dad's like, "You've always been a winner. You've always done well. You always have excelled at anything that you've put your mind to. But Manon feels like a failure." And here's something that I really related to Abby, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you guys why in the live chat and if you're watching the replay. So she moved countries, and to move from your country to a completely foreign country, it's very hard, you guys, to start over, to learn the rules and regulations of the country, and to all of that stuff. It's very hard. And so when you've lived a life, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then you decide for whatever reason that you're moving back to your home country, it does feel like a failure to you, because you've spent X amount of years in the country that you moved to. And for me, without getting super into it, this is the first time that I've ever thought about, do I want to move? Given the political atmosphere and the things that are happening in this world. And it would be like it would feel like a fresh start, but it would also feel like starting from the very beginning again, after you spent X amount of years establishing yourself in a foreign country. And so when she said, like, it feels like a failure by moving back, and she said life in LA and comparing her life in LA to where she is now, for me, it was totally relatable. And I want to know if anyone thinks that that's something that is relatable, given the current climate that we're in.
It's absolutely relatable. I think that one of the disservices that we do to ourselves is to call starting over a failure. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change course, especially in your career. It's okay to circle back. It's okay to go back to school. And you weren't a failure because the prior thing doesn't continue, because you still have everything you learned from that prior situation. So I think that we need to be more empowered. Like, I learned so many things and I'm going to take that into a new direction, as opposed to I was a failure and now I'm starting over.
Yeah.
Right? Just like reframe it a little bit. When I left, you guys, I worked at my first law firm after I graduated for 5 years. I switched over to one law firm for 1 year, hoping things would get better. So a total of 6 years working for a law firm. And then I just moved to Mexico. And a lot of people would have categorized that as a failure. You just left your 6-figure job to move to Mexico and teach English. Like, but my mental state needed a reset. I needed to figure out where to go from there. The experience had been so rough. I had been torn down so much in my confidence, and I needed time to rebuild. So although I, in the moment, was like, I just feel like I'm failing, I knew that in the end it was going to be better. I'm going to come back better and stronger. And I'm going to have this year of experiences living in Mexico to add to everything else that I've already learned and pivot into my next thing.
Yep.
So give yourself that grace.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's next for me, but again, you guys, I do have faith and I do pray and all the things, and I do know that it's going to work itself out. That being said, one of the things that I thought was a little toxic that we haven't talked about, because Menon and Anthony are one of my favorite couples of the season, but Anthony leaves the party, the reception, whatever you want to call it, early, because he says he's going to bring Benjamin home to sleep because Benjamin's tired. But really, he's leaving before, quote unquote, it gets ugly, because he knows his wife has had a few drinks, and when she has a few drinks, she gets ugly. And I just was like, that's not partnership behavior. Like, you're going to leave your wife to defend herself because you don't want to be a part of the ugliness. I don't know. I just don't feel like that's teamwork. Shout out to Joslo, Raydella, Becca, Pieces. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted. I spent a month back home last month, and it was great. And I think it was great just because I was so tired of like the rhetoric, and they weren't airing the rhetoric every 5 seconds, and it was a reprieve. Mm-hmm. That being said, let's go on to Chloe and Johnny. What are your over thoughts on this episode for Chloe and Johnny?
I mean, I still think this is a little vacation for Chloe. I'm ready for her mom to come so we can see what happens with that. This was a little bit of a waste of space. Chloe's just arguing with any and everything that Johnny wants to do and be.
She's young. If you guys remember when you were 23, it was all about partying and having a time. So I'm not mad at her at that, but she's also definitely showing her age. They started the episode off for them with flamingos, and there's a flamingo beach. I don't know the name of it. Abby, do you know the name of it? Because I'm trying to go there before my life is over. There's a flamingo.
I'm too poor for Aruba, so I'm not familiar with this flamingo beach that you speak of.
Lies. Those are lies. Lies. She's like, oh, I'm in Mexico. I'm in New York.
Listen, I wanted to go to Mexico. I wanted to go to Aruba so many times. But every single time I look at the flight, I'm like, let me just stick to the Dominican Republic that I'm used to.
Okay,
the flight is so much more expensive.
Stop playing right now. Anyways, there's some flamingo beach that I really want to go to, and it's supposed to be pink sand with a bunch of pink flamingos. I'm not necessarily positive that it's in the Dominican, but whatever. So Johnny and Chloe are going out. I want you guys to remember that Chloe's only 23. Johnny's 32. We find out in this episode that Johnny doesn't drink. She does, however, and she's a connoisseur of drinking. And quote unquote, she's not going out sober. She wants to run the tab up. So again, 23, that's kind of exactly where you're supposed to be. And they have both invited their best friends who are not in a relationship, but best friends here, best friends there. So they're going to meet up. Chloe doesn't like Keener, who is Johnny's best friend, and they work together on the pirate ship, and they're partners in crime. And she has some insecurity issues as far as I'm concerned. So she's really not impressed that he's coming. So anyways, they end up at a beach bar. She's invited Cariana, which is her best friend, there to spend time with them. And part of the issue is that Chloe doesn't trust Johnny at all, because remember in the first episode, we heard that Johnny cheated. He met some other girl, brought her to Florida, had a whole weekend with her, and then Chloe found out about it. So she's still holding on to that. And one of the things I've always said to you guys is that, like, for me, if someone cheated on me, I wouldn't be able to stay with them, because I know how that turns me out to be as a person, and I'm less trusting and I'm more like suspicious of anything, and it's toxic for myself and for the other person. And I feel like that's who Chloe is in this situation. If you are going to forgive someone for cheating on you, you literally have to let it go and move past it. And I've said this multiple times. Not only do you have to move past it, but you can't bring it up because you've forgiven and you've moved on. Abby, your thoughts on that before I make my next comment?
Same. I think that if you're in a relationship with someone and you feel compelled to keep tabs on where they are and spy on them, I think you should just go ahead and walk away, for yourself, for the other person. You don't want to live like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chloe's a jealous type, and she hates Keenar, who is Johnny's best friend, because she feels like he enables Johnny's bad behavior. And again, I'm not sure where she's getting all her information from, but she tells the table, so it's her, it's Johnny, it's Keenar, and it is her friend
Carrie-Anne.
Yeah. The four of them, she says that they were spying. So her and Carrie-Anne, is that her name? Carrie-Anne?
Carrie-Anne or Carrie-Anne is something like that.
Summer Minutes, but let's go with that.
Okay.
They were spying, and Keenar's like, yeah, I saw you spying. And, I didn't say anything because it's like not my business. I don't have a problem with you. And she freaks out. Chloe freaks out. She's like, don't start a fight with me. I don't really even like you. I'm standing on business, and I don't like how you enable Johnny's bad behavior. You were there when he cheated. She went on and on and on and on. And Keener is like, you know what? I'm cool. Like, let's not fight. Let's not do this. Let's just have a good time. And he even admits, he's like, you know what? I could be an asshole, but she can be an asshole too. We're two strong personalities, and we both have terrible personalities. And I was like, you know what? He's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't really sure why she decided to go on the offensive against him. Girl, just enjoy your drink and have some polite conversation. That's all this meeting calls for.
That's it. She has trust issues, right? So she says her trust issues come from Johnny's actions, and her issues with Keenar and Johnny is because they go out together, and she knows that Keenar is Johnny's ride or die. And then she goes on to say that she feels like her, almost fiance, because she moved out there to be with them, has nothing to lose, has no risk, hasn't done anything in his life to like say, hey, I've sacrificed this for this relationship. And she's like, my future is risked. You know, my mom's business. I have no job. I put no privilege because that's where she's really coming from, you guys. She is feeling insecure and jealous because the trust is broken because of what happened when Johnny, she felt allegedly was cheating on her while he was in Miami with another woman. And then Johnny's like, well, you know what? You can't control me and you have to learn to trust me more or you have to move on. And I was like 32 at 23. Listen, you guys, she's doing exactly what a 23-year-old would do. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
You want to add anything, Abby?
I mean, no, that's it. I want to encourage you guys to just walk away from relationships like this. There's absolutely no reason why she couldn't be spending this time building herself professionally, doing even more travel. You know, there's no sunken cost. There's no need to stay with him because you've been with him for a year or whatever. Just move on.
Facts. We have Dylan in the live chat, you guys. So everyone say hi to Dylan. We are just about to move on to Dylan and Patia. And you know, Dylan, I may not have said some nice things about you in the past, and I'll try to be better this episode, but we'll see. We'll see how your accents were. We're moving on to Dylan and Patia, 38 and 58. Dylan is showing Patia the home for the first time. We find out that he owns a couple of properties in Australia and he's renovated one of them for them to live in. One of the things, Abby, that I was like, okay, you renovated. Clearly, you made a little bit of time to figure out, like, how am I going to make this woman that I've been with for 12 years happy? But there's no furniture in the house.
Okay, I'm not even going to say anything about there not being any furniture there because did you see the closets? Multiple closets for her to put things in and hang up her clothes as opposed to a half a drawer that Greta got.
Facts. Okay, that's fair.
So we're gonna give Dylan props for making sure there were all the closet space is there and allowing her to pick her own furniture.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that because I definitely was not thinking that because I was thinking there's no furniture where they're supposed to sit. But as a avid clothing person, closet space is very important. So for him to think about the closet space, Abby, definitely I'll give him props for that. Dylan says that Patia and him are polar opposites. He's simple versus her luxurious lifestyle. It's been years since they lived together, so it's definitely going to be an adjustment. And so they're going to try to figure it out. It's the next morning. He's waking up, making breakfast for them. She comes out in, I think it's like I have one of those masks. You know the black mask? It's like a iron mask or something.
Yeah, you peel it off. It dries, then you peel it off.
Yeah. So she comes out in one of that. He's like, oh, is that the Fountain of Youth? She's like, yeah, it's that amongst other things. And what's interesting, you guys, is that I gotta tell you, you guys know that I'm all about the Korean skincare products. And one of those is, and I would go to my restroom right now. Well, actually wouldn't figure it out, but one of them is like a black mineral mask. And that's sure when you peel it off, you guys, your skin your skin looks like, oh, I'm on fire. So I'm not mad at her. Dylan is super strict with his calorie intake, which I get because he's like, you know, an exotic dancer. He has a six pack and all of that stuff, but he's super structured. So he's making breakfast. And Abby, I want your thoughts on that. So he's doing salmon, asparagus, and brown rice, but he's literally broken it down to like the macros of it all. So salmon, 50 grams of asparagus, 150 grams of brown rice, which equals 379 calories. So he's broken it down to the macros and the calories. And then he says throughout the day, he's going to do like 100 grams of kangaroo, 150 grams of brown rice, broccoli or green beans every couple of hours, not to reach more than the 400 calorie max for the day, right? So one of the things that I know, just for like someone that has works out and has been around like all fitness all the time, is that fitness people, they're going to be all about protein. They're going to be all about your greens. And if you have to have some type of like brown rice or white rice or like what's the word I'm looking for?
Fiber? No.
Not fiber. If you're going to have some type of like, anyways.
Starch.
Not starch. Anyways, if you're going to have something outside of a protein, you're going to make sure that it's small in calorie intake and it's going to be throughout your day, and you're going to have it earlier in the day. So at the end of the day, it's not a carb. Thank you, Becca. Carb. If you're going to have protein and a carb you need to like build your muscles and all of that. Thank you, Becca. I couldn't think straight. You're going to eat like at least seven meals throughout the day. And it sounds to me that that's what Dylan is doing. But one of the things that they also argue about, and we know that they argue often, is they argue about food and proteins and carbs and micronutrients and all of that. And my note literally says, Abby, they argue about food. And then Dylan, I know you're in the live chat, but like you don't season your food. I don't even understand that. So you're gonna boil chicken. You're gonna have some asparagus or brown rice or broccoli and no salt and pepper. Like I mean,
I can solve their food argument very easily. You guys simply don't need to eat together. Like you can eat together at the same table, but there's no reason for you guys to be trying to cook meals for each other or share your food. Your food is just going to be separate because your diet is so specific. You can't force that on someone else that doesn't also have the same body goals as you. So just eat at the same time, but eat different food. This trying to cook for each other is ridiculous. It's not going to work out.
As you guys know, I've been on a fitness journey for the past year, and it's important. Like all the things that he's saying are important. That's why I like can speak on it. So you definitely have to measure your intake. High protein is going to be really great for you. Lower zero carbs are going to be very important for you, and your macros are going to be important for you. But that being said, like I season all my food. Like I don't know, Dylan, like I'm just gonna say it. Black, Asian, brown, all the things, we season our food. So I'm not sure what happens in Australia, but even a little salt and pepper, it might do you guys some good, and then you guys can both eat the same thing. That's all I'm saying.
But do you know that for some people, food is not an experience. For some people, they're only eating food because they have to, because their body requires it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was introduced to this kind of later in life because I thought everyone enjoyed music and everyone enjoys food. Then I met people who literally do not listen to music in their cars. They don't have a favorite artist. Music is not something they enjoy. And there's people who are the same way about food.
Yeah, I don't know her last name, but that Julian girl who was like big in the fitness world back in like the 2000s, who's now like a super political advocate.
The one who was on The Biggest Loser, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so she was one of the people that said that you should only eat to fuel your body. It's not about like enjoying it, it's about fueling your body. That was a big concept for the last 20 years. But that being said, Dylan and Batia argue about food. He talks about like 13 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, the micronutrients in every meal. And he's talking about science. She's talking about enjoying food. And I think that again, you have to be on the same page. Like, what are you all trying to do? I get it. He is an exotic dancer, so he wants to make sure that he's in the prime of his life. And she's dancing, but she's also moved, right? And part of that is she's not going to be working, so she's about like, hey, I love to cook. If I'm going to be living up in the boomtowns, then I want to cook, and I want to cook with a little bit of seasoning. I don't see anything wrong with that, but they definitely have to be on the same page. The next day, he's making protein shakes. One of the things I want to tell you guys about protein shakes, which I've been learning as I have been going through my own fitness journey, is that you got to make sure that you are, if you do protein shakes with like your fruits and water, your milk or whatever, almond milk, whatever you guys are doing, that you're making sure that it's pure protein. Whey protein is hard to digest for women.
Mm.
And I learned that from a nurse practitioner. So if you're going to do protein shakes, you guys, whey protein is probably not the way you want to go. You want to go with pure protein in order for you to digest and use that energy for good. So having protein shakes, Dylan's mom calls. She is right around the corner. She wants to pop in and see them. We find out that Dylan and his mom talk at least 3 times a week, and that Patia and the mom doesn't get along. They haven't gotten along in their whole 12-year relationship, which is something that, I guess I'm not even getting into right now. Mom shows up. Her name is Jo. She shows up with yellow flowers for Patia and Australian biscuits for Patia. Mom hasn't seen her in 11 years. And so there was like a weird energy there. But the mom says Jo thinks that Patia is jealous of her and jealous because of the relationship that they share. So here's the thing I want to ask you, because Abby, as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but I do see this a lot. So moms with their sons,
Mm-hmm.
dads with their daughters is a
Mm-hmm.
very like close relationship. But what happens is moms specifically don't want to let their sons go. So the
Mm-hmm.
son has a girlfriend that turns into a wife. And then all of a sudden they feel threatened, like the man of the house, which is your son, which really should be your husband, whether you're divorced or widowed or whatever, your son becomes that person. And then you don't want to let that go. So when the woman comes in, that is going to be their future wife or is their wife, it's problematic. Your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that, Abby?
No, I've seen it so many times. And these women who proudly label themselves as boy moms, especially when they have kids who are not boys, but they proudly call themselves boy moms and ignore the other kids, they are a problem. It is a problem that you don't have your own life and your own relationships
Yeah.
and you just terrorize your son's lives. But it's also a problem when the son doesn't make a clear boundary around the mom's behavior. I
100%.
think when it goes on and on like this, like it has for years, I personally think that the son involved enjoys it.
100%. 100% loves the attention, loves the like fighting between the two people that he cares about the most. 100% agree with you. Dylan and Patia are gonna go furniture shopping. They need a couch, they need a dining living area. And this is when Joe's like, hey, you need to keep an eye on Patia, because we know that Patia's past spending habits have been problematic. And Dylan agrees. But then Patia has a problem with that because she's like, you told your mom about my spending habits. Like, something should be between you and I in a relationship. And I 100% agree with her. Like, your mama doesn't need to know all the things. And I get that you guys are close. Maybe she's your best friend. Maybe you guys talk all the time. But one of the things, you guys, and you guys that have been long-term viewers and long-term subscribers, you guys know I've said this from day one. There are some things that when you're in a relationship, it needs to be between you and your partner, because you're the two pillars of your relationship. Right? So the two pillars of a relationship is what's going to make the house, the home stand strong. When you bring in a third party, a fourth party, your mama, your daddy, your baby mama, your baby daddy, your cousin, your second cousin, your grandmama, your grandpapa, too many is there's too many hands in the pot with all different opinions. And guess what? The two pillars start fracturing because you don't know what you should be listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So I've said this from the very beginning. If you are really in a serious relationship, marriage, long term, whatever, partnership, whatever, your allegiance needs to be to your partner first and foremost. Figure it out together. Decide what you guys are going to say outside of the relationship and then move on. Now, I'm not talking about abusive relationships or toxic relationships. I'm talking about healthy relationships where
Yeah.
you guys want to move your relationship forward for the long term. That being
Right.
said, you telling your mama that your girlfriend of 12 years has a spending problem and now you guys are going to go shopping, of course your mama's going to take your side. Period. Full stop.
And this is on Patia, because if you have repeatedly asked your partner to do something or not to do something, and they continue to have that behavior, it's on you to decide whether to stay or not. They're letting you know, I'm going to keep doing this. And then it's on you to decide whether you are going to stay in that relationship or not stay in it. Because if you stay and they keep doing it, then you're accepting it. No matter how much you say it, until you talk about it until you're blue in the face, Patia. I don't want you talking to your mom about our relationship. But over the 12 years that you've been together, he has consistently done this. So now that you've packed up your life and moved all the way to Australia, that's not giving him the indication that I can't do this thing anymore, or else I will not have my relationship with Patia. It's not giving that. It's giving I can do whatever I want and Patia will still come to me.
Facts. Facts. Last and certainly not least, Greta and Matthew, 27 and 26. They're looking at rentals, which I was surprised about because, Matthew has done nothing to move this whole relationship forward and he is not prepared for anything. So I was surprised that they actually had places to look at. So Nigel, who is the real estate agent, greets them. And Greta wants to live kind of in okay, you guys. Nigel greets them at a house that's a beautiful house, all the things. But again, I've said to you guys, and I'll say it again, like, are you not talking to your partner so that you guys are on the same page? So you guys know exactly what it is that you are expecting in your relationship? Because Greta wants to live in an urban area where she can walk. It's a walkable city. She can take the train. She can go everywhere, and it's high density. So think like New York, think Chicago, think Atlanta. I would say LA, but LA is not like a walkable city. So,
You know what is a walkable city?
oh God, Washington, Virginia,
DC, the District of Columbia. Come over here, Greta.
Greta. Go to New York first. So they want to move to the parents' place. They want to move in an urban place, according to Greta. She wants to have it to be a walkable city, a high transit city. For those of you guys who know that I'm from Canada, Vancouver is all about full transit for walking. Like I know multiple people, Abby, that have never gotten a driver's license because in Vancouver you don't need it. That's how accessible transit is.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
If you're in a city, I understand if you're in the country, that's a different thing. But if you're in a city, the city should provide good public transportation.
Yeah. And World Cup is coming to Vancouver, you guys. Don't all rush there immediately. I already have my FIFA jacket. I will be there. But don't all come at once. That being said, Matthew loves the countryside, and they are checking out this home in the countryside. There's a sitting room. Matthew pictures him and Greta and their extended family there. Pictures twins, pictures kids, pictures the whole thing. And Greta has not thought that. She's like, I thought we'd get a tiny flat somewhere in the middle of London. Whether you're like in East Ham and Birmingham, London proper, you guys, I lived in London for a year, so I know all of like the small, tiny flats with the crazy water bills, all the things. So she was thinking that's where she was going to be. With her and Matthew and a cat or two. But she didn't picture herself in a house with 3 bedrooms and, multiple stories for multiple kids. That's not what she was thinking. And so, Abby, my question to you is, do you feel that her and Matthew have had conversations about their future, considering they're already engaged?
She said that she told Matthew exactly what she wanted, that she wanted to be walkable so that there would be activities that she could do so that she'd be able to explore the town on her own without him, because he's going to be in work while she needs time to get all of her documents transferred over and get permission to begin working as an attorney or over there as a barrister. So she said that she communicated that to him. And I have reason to believe that she really did communicate it, and he just didn't listen, because she also communicated to him different expectations she had for finances. And he waited until she arrived to say, some of the things that you want are ridiculous and we have to cut back on them. So I have a reason to believe that she did communicate clearly, and he just decided, well, that's not really what you're going to get. I'm going to give you what I want to give you once you arrive here.
So one of the things that I think is important that I know we talked about a couple episodes ago, but I saw, because you guys know I watch all the true crime. And one of the things that the police officer said during a true crime that I was watching was, long story short, woman was highly educated, had a master's degree, got pregnant, decided to be a stay-at-home mom, which is absolutely fine. But then her husband was in charge of the finances. And then when she decided that she wanted to go back to work because she was like bored being at home, that's not what he wanted. He wanted to have his wife come home and have a meal on the table, the kids like fed, homework done, all of that stuff. So it turned out to be like a terrible situation, and she was found in the backyard. Long story short, I just want you guys to know that you have to have the conversations, and whatever that looks like for you, like, yeah, okay, you're an independent woman, and now you decided that that's something that you're going to sacrifice because you have kids and you want to be a stay-at-home mom and you want to raise your kids and all of that stuff. But make sure that you and your husband are on the same page about what that looks like for you.
Well, I don't know how much more you can do if the other party is committed to lying or hiding their hand. You know what I mean? Like if she says, I want to be able to have a massage every single week, and he doesn't object to that until she arrives and says, that's ridiculous, I'm not going to be paying for that. What do you do if somebody's hiding their hand? I think men just have to stop lying. Stop lying about what you're capable of doing. Stop lying about what you want to be doing, and have the relationship with someone who is within the range of what you're willing to do. Stop lying about who you are and then being upset when that woman won't shrink into the mold that you have decided is what she should get. Stop going after baddies if you're insecure with somebody approaching the person that you're talking to. Stop going after women who clearly spend a lot of money on their hair and self-care and nails and clothes if you don't have the finances to expense that. If somebody is already having their laundry sent out all the time and you can't afford to get your laundry sent out, don't bother her. Stop lying about what you're capable of and what you want to be able to spend money on. And then we don't end up in the situation because Greta has closed down her entire life to move over here with you, who said you were going to be financially responsible, who heard her say, I want to be in a walkable city so I can make other friends and have a life. And now what do you want to do? You want to put her in that old country house like a bird in a cage.
And don't forget that she's freaking educated. You know what I mean? Like, she's an attorney. So let's not forget that she's not just being like, oh, take care of me. There are some women that they aspire to be like basketball or football or whatever, professional sports wives and baby mamas with nothing to back that up. But that's not Greta. Greta has her own life. She's fully educated, advanced degrees, all the things. So, like, let's not be surprised by all of this. One of the other things, though, that I will say is Greta. I don't know if Greta and Matthew had conversations about children, but she is now not clear if she wants kids, and she hasn't told him that yet. And I think, you guys, you cannot not have those conversations. Abby, live chat. Regular subscribers, regular viewers, what are the 4+1? Because I'm making it 5 things that I've said since day one, years and years ago, that you have to discuss before you get in a serious relationship. Abby, do you know the 5?
I'm going to click over here just in case somebody already says it. Hey, Becca Kitty Meow. We must discuss religion.
Religion.
We must discuss money.
Religion.
We must discuss how often we want to have sex. Yep,
wait. Religion. Okay, what's the other one? You said money.
Yes, religion, money.
So religion, money, and when I say money, it's finances. How do you spend finances? How do you save finances? What are your goals for the next 5 years? What does that look like? Okay, number 3.
Sex.
What do you expect in sex? How often do you want sex? What are your rules, regulations about sex? What are your predilections towards sex? All of that. Yep.
All of that. What are your proclivities, your likes, your needs, your wants?
Yep. You're not done.
I know.
You added one. One of them you should have said first because it was yours.
You keep reminding me that I added it too, and my mind just draws a blank every single time.
So children.
Yep.
Is one.
And when we say children, we are not just talking about whether you're going to have them or not. We're talking about the nitty-gritty details of how you want to raise them, how you want to discipline them. What is the division of labor that you expect between parents and what's required for children? How are you going to respond if you have children who are disabled or have significant needs? What are you set up financially to care for children who are disabled or have significant needs? How do you respond if your child is homosexual or doesn't identify with the gender assigned to them at birth? Those are the conversations you need to have about children. And if you're not, I'm going to add something that I've never said before because I saw a creator on TikTok say this and it's so true. Are you open to the immense pain and heartache that can come with having children, even if you have the money, you have the house, and everything else is in place to welcome these children that you're going to have? Are you prepared for the immense heartache that can come from having children who are exposed to the world and perhaps fall into drug use or other dangerous, risky activity, and you have to deal with that.
100%. Last one, because it's yours, so I'm going to wait for you to figure it out.
I don't know. I really don't remember. I know I said something about like attraction, but that couldn't be it because attraction is going to change over time.
You didn't, it's not attraction. Go on, Abby. Figure it out. Do you guys remember what Abby added last year?
What did I add?
So we have so religion, faith, money and finance is number 2, sex is number 3, children is number 4. Those are my top 4, but Abby added a 5th that we added. Does anyone remember what the 5th thing is?
Becca probably remembers if she's still hanging out. Okay, you got to tell us.
No, you got to tell us. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you hanging. If you guys don't get it by the time I upload for tomorrow, I will put it in the replay in the comments. So come through the comments.
Yes.
Hopefully Abby will remember what the 5th thing that she added.
I'm waiting for Becca to say it.
Becca says she can't remember, so it's on you, Abby.
Oh, Lord. Lordy.
Thank you for being with us. Stay safe. We will see you shortly. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you very shortly.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out.